Boro sukar khabar gai, boro sukar khabar gai. Surabhi kunjete namer hat kuleche. Surabhi kunjete namer hat kuleche. Koda nitai, koda nitai. Koda nitai, koda nitai. Boro mojar katha thai, boro mojar katha thai. Sharamye shudanam sehate pikhai. Koda nitai, koda nitai. Koda nitai, koda nitai. Jata bhakta vrindavasi, jata bhakta vrindavasi. Arigare deke nam beche daro khasi. Koda nitai, koda nitai. Koda nitai, koda nitai. Jari nama kimbe bai, jari nama kimbe bai. Amar sange chalo mahajaner kache jai. Amar sange chalo mahajaner kache jai. Koda nitai, koda nitai. Koda nitai, koda nitai. Tumi kimbe Krishna nam, tumi kimbe Krishna nam. Dusri loe bo ami purne hape kam. Koda nitai, koda nitai. Koda nitai, koda nitai. Boro doyal nityananda, boro doyal nityananda. Shara matra loedem parama ananda. Koda nitai, koda nitai. Koda nitai, koda nitai. एक बार देख ले चक्षे जल, एक बार देख ले चक्षे जल. Gora bole nitai den sakala sambal. Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. Sing it with me. Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. Den Shuddha Krishna Shika, Den Shuddha Krishna Shika. Jati Dan Vidya Bal Na Kore Upeksha. Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. Change. Amanichare Maya Jal, Amanichare Maya Jal. Grihe tako bane tako na thake janjal. Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. Arnaiko Kalir Boy, Arnaiko Kalir Boy. Achandale Denam Nitai Goyamoy. Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. Bhakti Vinodaki Koi, Bhakti Vinodaki Koi. Nitai Charana Bina Ar Nahi Ashroy. Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. Gaura Nitai, translation. Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai. I'm singing news of the greatest happiness at the place known as Surabhi Kunj in Shri Navadvip. The marketplace of the holy name has now been opened, and Lord Nityananda himself is the proprietor. Such wonderful things are going on in that blissful marketplace. Shri Nityananda Prabhu is selling the pure holy name wholesale merely for the price of one's faith. Seeing the assembly of devotees eagerly waiting to purchase the name, Lord Nityananda first examines each of them to test their qualification. Then he sells them the name by bargaining for his price accordingly. My dear friends, if you really want to buy this pure holy name, then just come along with me, for I'm now going to meet with this Nityananda Mahajana. Thus, you will finally be able to acquire the pure holy name. I will also take my due commission, and in this way, all three of us will fulfill our desires. Shri Nityananda Prabhu is so extraordinarily merciful, accepting only one's faith in the holy name. He bestows the topmost divine bliss. When Nitai sees a tear welling in someone's eye upon chanting the name of Gaura, he instantly gives his support to that person. Indeed, he bestows all divine opulences. He gives that person genuine realization of the pure teachings of Sri Krishna, as found in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. While displaying all this inconceivable mercy, he pays no attention to one's caste, material wealth, mundane knowledge, or physical ability. Now, dear friends, please reject all of Maya's entangling snares. If you're a householder, then just remain at your home. If you're renounced, then just live in the forest. Either way, nothing more will trouble you. We no longer need to fear the terrible age of quarrel, for the most merciful Lord Nityananda gives the holy name to anyone and everyone, even to the lowest among men. Bhaktivinoda loudly calls out and proclaims to all, other than the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, there is no shelter. Kodanitai, 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 Kodanitai. Jaya Madana Madhavam Radhe Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Jaya Krishna Kali Malahari Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Jaya Krishna Kali Malahari Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Narakinala Nayana Vishala Gale Sohari Vaijanti Mala. Chaviki Bali Hari Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Sham Shama Sham. Where are we? Oh, I see. I got it. Kabo Lutta Lutta Dadhikayo Kabo Madhuvana Rasa Rachayo Nachasta Vipina Bihari Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Nachasta Vipina Bihari Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Jaya Madhava Madhava Murari Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Jaya Madhava Madhava Murari Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Jaya Keshava Kali Malahari Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Jaya Keshava Kali Malahari Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Bala Bala Samgati Nucharai Vanamana Brahmata Pire Jaduraya. Kamara Kari Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Kamara Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Jaya Madhava Madhana Murari Radhe Sham Shama Sham. Jaya Keshava Kali Malahari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Jaya Keshava Kali Malahari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Chura Chura Navanita Chokayo Brajavanita Bhai Nam Durayo Makana Chora Murari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Makana Chora Murari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Jaya Madhava Madana Murari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Jaya Madhava Madana Murari Jaya Keshava Kali Malahari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Jaya Keshava Kali Malahari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Ekadina Mana Indra Komaryo Naka Upara Govardhana Daryo Padayo Giridhari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Padayo Giridhari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Jaya Madhava Madana Murari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Jaya Madhava Madana Murari Jaya Keshava Kali Malahari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Jaya Keshava Kali Malahari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Duryodhana ko bhoga na khayo Rup ko saga vidura ghar khayo I say Prema Pujari Radhe Sham Shama Sham I say Prema Pujari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Radhe Sham Shama Sham Karuna Kara Draupadi Pukari Patali Patagai Vanavari Viraka Rahi Naranari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Radhe Sham Shama Sham Bhakta Bhakta Satumani Thare Vina Bhakti Hama Thade Dhare Dido Kabara Kumari Radhe Sham Shama Sham Arjuna ke Rat अहंकार हारे, गीत के उपदेश तुम्हारे। चक्र सुदर्शन धारी राजे, श्याम श्याम श्याम। राधे श्याम श्याम श्याम, श्याम श्याम श्याम, राधे श्याम श्याम श्याम, जय माधव मदन मुरारी राधे, श्याम श्याम श्याम। जय केशव कलिमल हरि राधे, श्याम श्याम श्याम, राधे श्याम श्याम श्याम। गुरु पूजा। Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nishtaya Kaikshetiva, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nishtaya Kaikshetiva, Namah Shrishna Manamapi Shachi Putra Mantra Sarupam, Rupam Dasya Grajam Urupari Maturim Goshtavadhim, Radha Kundam Girivaram Radhika Madhavasham, Rato Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tamnatosmi. He Guru Jnana Davina Bando Swananda Data Puranaika Sindo, Vrindavana Siddhi Pavatara, Prasida Radha Pranaya Prachara. He Dina Bando Puranaika Sindo, Guru Prasada Maimana Mure, Laksha Parare Bahuta Pagadhe, Tatvada Padme Stumatishta Krishne, Yadyapi Amara Guru Chaitanya Das, Takati Janiye Ani Tahara Prakash, Guru Krishna Rupahana Shastriya Brahmane, Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Padena Bhakta Jane, Shiksha Guru Keta Jani Krishna Raswarupa, Antaryami Bhakta Shrestha Ejui Rupa, Naivo Payantya Pachitim Kavayastadesha, Ramayushapi Kridam Ridam Udasmaranta, Yontar Bahisthanuvritam Ashubam Badunvan, Acharya Chaitya Vapushas Svagatiryanaki. Go to the Guru Vandanam, go to the Guru Vandanam. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great honor.
My only wish to have my consciousness purified with words emanating from its lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desire. He opens my darkened eyes, fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord birth after birth. Whom ecstatic prema emanates, and whom ignorance is destroyed. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor and Lord and master devotees. O Master, please be merciful unto us. As the shade of the lotus feet in all of the three worlds. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhagati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Vanda Mui Sahadhana Bhade Vanda Mui Sadhana Mate Jahara Prasade Bhai E Bhavatoriya Jahara Jahara Prasade Bhai E Bhavatoriya Jahara Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoite Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoite Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Shitete Koriya Kya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Shitete Koriya Kya Harana Kori Ho Mane Bhasa Harana Kori Ho Mane Bhasa Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Utama Ghati Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Utama Ghati Prasad Pure Sarva Asa Prasad Pure Sarva Asa Chakudan Hilode Janme Janme Prabhu se उदान धिलोले जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित प्रेमा भक्ति जा होते न विद्या विनाश जाते प्रेमा भक्ति जा होते न विद्या विनाश जाते वेद गाय जहर चरित वेद गाय जहर चरित श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनार बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनार बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना श्रीला प्रभुपाद लोकेर जीवाना नहा प्रभु कर दया देह मरे पदा छाया नहा प्रभु कर दया देह मरे पदा छाया हे वेदास त्रिभुवाना हे वेदास त्रिभुवाना श्रीला प्रभुपाद पतित पवाना श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनार बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेर दीवाना नहा प्रभु कर दया देह मरे पदा छाया जय प्रभु पदा प्रभु पदा प्रभु पदा जय प्रभु पदा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Shri Radhe Jayo Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Shri Radhe Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Brajabhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Jayurad Hamadhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Ballabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaswada Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. I'm reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 15, Chapter 16. I'll read the introduction. It's on page 531. Today I'm dedicating our Srimad Bhagavatam class to His Holiness Bhadrinarayan Swami. Whether you knew or knew not, he was our GBC for many years, although he never came here. He was dedicated to Srila Prabhupada since he was a teenager, joined around 1971, and was known as a stalwart in practicing Krishna consciousness throughout his life. He was a householder, took sannyas, and I had the fortune of serving next to him in many meetings in North America and also on the GBC body. And my last interactions with him were in Mayapur. I gave a report to the GBC, which included I wouldn't know what to call it, proclamation, that we would distribute this year, combinedly around the world, 100,008 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. And after my presentation, which was a little more than that, I was interacting with some of the devotees, but he came to me immediately. He grabbed my hands and he said, Vaisesika, I'm really into this 108,000. He looked at me with such a sincere expression. And I said, Maharaj, I feel like hugging you right now. And he goes, well, why don't you then? And I sat next to him during the BBT-GBC Relations Committee. The BBT is a trust. It's the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. A trust has a beneficiary. The beneficiary is ISKCON. And therefore there's a committee of GBCs and BBT directors and trustees that meet regularly, and at least once a year for the whole day, or most of the day, to go over various ways in which the BBT, GBC are cooperating in beneficial ways. At that meeting, I sat next to him in the meeting room, and I was marveling at how he was able to stay in the body he was in, because he was completely emaciated. And it's as if, although he mentioned it, it was obvious that his body had become very much degraded. Every warranty there is had run out. But he was still running that body and in that body as if his duty was higher and he had no lag time. And then in Vrindavan, where he had come, actually before we went to Vrindavan from Mayapur, I asked him where he was going next. He said Vrindavan. And I said, oh, great, I'll see you there. And he said, well, we'll see. Because he said, I'm going there to chant. He said, I deserve an opportunity to just sit and chant. And he had a room there in the MVT that his father gave him. Because his father, who was a wealthy and successful person, had seen that he was a renunciate most of his life. And he said, well, at least you'll have a roof over your head. He gave him a room there. And so Bhadrinarayan Maharaj had been active there. He gave a class. When I got to Vrindavan, people were talking about the class. He liked to talk about science. And he was a big supporter, champion of Sariputta. Had brought him many times to San Diego and had him give talks and so forth. Sariputta is one of the early members of the Bhaktivedanta Institute. He was discovered when Prabhupada put out an edict throughout ISKCON that any of the devotees who had advanced degrees in science should come forward to help form this institute. and he had been in New Vrindavan digging fence post holes. And when they put out the edict, he was in the room, and he raised his hand, and everyone looked at him and said, "You? You can't even put a proper fence hole, and how could you have an advanced degree?" But he was sort of a Judd Barrett character who was suddenly discovered for his genius. In any case, Bhadranaran Maharaj liked him very much, supported him, and brought forward many of his teachings. And he had given a class there in Vrindavan, one in Mayapur also. And a couple days later, he had gone to visit Lower Bazaar with one of his disciples, and he had gone to a temple. There's a large temple there that's Vaikuntha, right within Vrindavan. It's an interesting experience. It's gigantic. And the driver of the car said, "Oh, but Maharaj, you'll have to walk so far from here." He said, "We should do some austerity before you see the Lord." But when he got in, had the darshan, he couldn't walk back because he could barely walk as it was. He had a cane, and also he had to have someone hold his hand. His feet were rather non-functional at this point in his life. In any case, he came home, and just the eve before Ekadashi, he quietly gave up his body in Vrindavan and went pillar to post in his life as soon as he joined Prabhupada. In fact, his parents had tried to kidnap him after he had joined to pull him out of the cult. Later, they became supporters, as you might guess from his father getting him a place in Vrindavan. And he was a very outspoken person. Very dedicated to Srila Prabhupada's institution, served with distinction for many, many years, wrote many papers, attended thousands of meetings. At the end of the day, he left this world in Vrindavan. He could have gone from anywhere because he was the drop on the lotus leaf, but his drop was at the very tip, almost ready to fall off. Could have been in Lower Bazaar, which would have been Vrindavan, or it could have been on the plain, it could have been anywhere, but it was right there in Vrindavan. So, such a spirit is indicative of those who came with their own natures, but then who gave their lives to serving Srila Prabhupada without wavering ever, and doing their level best to help push on the Krishna consciousness movement. So my obeisances to my dear godbrother. And we register our bereavement here from ISV on behalf of all our community members, the passing of His Holiness Bhadranaran Maharaj, and pray that we can catch up to him sometime, somewhere, and go on serving Srila Prabhupada. Om Tat Sat. You can say Hari Bol. This is executing the Payo-vrata process of worship. And here is the description of this chapter. As described in this chapter, because Aditi, the mother of the demigods, was very afflicted, her husband, Kashyapa Muni, told her how to observe vows in austerities for the benefit of her sons. Since the demigods were not visible in the heavenly kingdom, their mother Aditi, because of separation from them, was very much aggrieved. One day, after many, many years, the great sage Kashyapa emerged from a trance of meditation and returned to his ashrama. He saw that the ashrama was no longer beautiful and that his wife was very morose. Everywhere in the ashrama he saw signs of lamentation. The great sage therefore inquired from his wife about the well-being of the ashrama and asked her why she looked so morose. After Aditi informed Kashyapa Muni about the ashrama's well-being, she told him that she was lamenting for the absence of her sons. She then requested him to tell her how her sons could return and reoccupy their positions. She wanted all good fortune for her sons. Moved by Aditi's request, Kashyapa instructed her in the philosophy of self-realization, the difference between matter and spirit, and how to be unaffected by material loss. But when he saw that Aditi was not satisfied, even after he had given these instructions, he advised her to worship Vasudeva Janardhan. He assured her that only Lord Vasudeva could satisfy her and fulfill all her desires. When Aditi then expressed her desire to worship Lord Vasudeva, Prajapati Kashyapa told her about a process of worship known as Payo-vrata, which is executed in 12 days. Lord Brahma had instructed him how to satisfy Lord Krishna by this process, and thus he advised his wife to observe this vow and its regulative principles. Find in the instruction that he gives his wife, there's an elaborate means of worship, which includes a rigorous daily schedule. And I'm going to read you a few of the elements of that worship process that Kashyapa had advised him, and he had been advised by Brahma. As Kashyapa Muni said, when I desired offspring, I placed inquiries before Lord Brahma, who is born from a lotus flower. Now I shall explain to you the same process Lord Brahma instructed me, by which Keshava, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is satisfied. In the bright fortnight of the month of Phalguna, February and March, for 12 days ending with Dwadashi, one should observe the vow of subsisting only on milk and should worship the lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead with all devotion. If dirt dug up by a boar is available, on the day of the dark moon, one should smear this dirt on his body and then bathe in a flowing river. While bathing, one should chant the following mantras. O Mother Earth, you were raised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of a boar because of your desiring to have a place to stay. I pray that you kindly vanquish all the reactions of my sinful life. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Thereafter, one should perform his daily spiritual duties and then, with great affection, offer worship to the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and also the altar, the sun, water, fire, and the spiritual master. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, greatest of all, who lives in everyone's heart, and in whom everyone lives, O witness of everything, O Vasudeva, supreme and all-pervading person, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. He goes on with this prayer. And he continues at 38. By chanting all these mantras, welcoming the Supreme Personality of Godhead with faith and devotion, and offering him items of worship such as Padya and Arghya, one should worship Keshava, Hrishikesh, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the beginning, the devotee should chant the Dwadashakshara mantra and offer flower garlands, incense, and so on. After worshiping the Lord in this way, one should bathe the Lord with milk and dress him with proper garments, a sacred thread, and ornaments. After offering water to wash the Lord's feet, one should again worship the Lord with fragrant flowers, incense, and paraphernalia. If one can afford to, one should offer the deity fine boiled rice in milk and clarified butter and molasses. While chanting the same original mantra, one should offer all these to the fire. One should offer all the prasad to a Vaishnav, or offer him some of the prasad and then take some oneself. After this, one should offer the deity Achmana and then betel nut, and then again worship the Lord. Thereafter, one should silently murmur the mantra 108 times and offer prayers to the Lord for his glorification. Then one should circumambulate the Lord, and finally, with great delight and satisfaction, offer obeisances falling straight like a rod. After touching to one's head all the flowers and water offered to the deity, one should throw them into a sacred place. Then one should feed at least 2 brahmanas with sweet rice. One should perfectly honor the respectful brahmanas one has fed, and then after taking their permission, one should take prasad with his friends and relatives. For that night, one should observe strict celibacy, and the next morning, after bathing again, with purity and attention, one should bathe the deity of Lord Vishnu with milk and worship him according to the methods formally stated in detail. Worshipping Lord Vishnu with great faith and devotion, and living only by drinking milk, one should follow this vow. One should also offer oblations to the fire and feed the brahmanas, as mentioned before. In this way, until 12 days have passed, one should observe this Payo-vrata, worshipping the Lord every day, executing the routine duties, performing sacrifice, and feeding the brahmanas. From Pratipat until the 13th day of the next bright moon, Shukla Trayodasi, one should observe complete celibacy, sleep on the floor, bathe 3 times a day, and thus execute this vow. It keeps adding more on there, it seems like. During this period, one should not unnecessarily talk of material subjects or topics of sense gratification. One should be completely free from envy of all living entities. And one should be pure and a simple devotee of Lord Vasudeva. Thereafter, following the directions of the Shastra with help of brahmanas who know the Shastras, on the 13th day of the moon, one should bathe Lord Vishnu with 5 substances: milk, yogurt, ghee, sugar, and honey. Giving up the miserly habit of not spending money, one should arrange for the gorgeous worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who is situated in the heart of every living entity. With great attention, one must prepare an oblation of grains, boiled in ghee and milk, and must chant the Purusha Sukta mantra. The offerings of food should be of various tastes. In this way, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should satisfy the spiritual master, Acharya, who is very learned in Vedic literature, and should satisfy his assistant priest, known as Hota, Udgata, Advarayu, and Brahma. One should please them by offering them clothing, ornaments, and cows. This is the ceremony called Vishnu Aradhana, or worship of Lord Vishnu. O most auspicious lady, one should perform all the ceremonies under the direction of learned acharyas, and should satisfy them and their priests. By distributing prasad, one should also satisfy the brahmanas and others who have assembled. One should satisfy the spiritual master and assistant priest by giving them cloth, ornaments, cows, and also some monetary contribution. And by distributing prasad, one should satisfy everyone assembled, including even the lowest of men, the chandalas, eaters of dog flesh. One should distribute Vishnu prasad to everyone, including the poor man, the blind man, the non-devotee, and the non-brahmana, knowing that Lord Vishnu is pleased when everyone is sumptuously fed with Vishnu prasad. The performer of yajna should then take prasad with his friends and relatives. Every day, from Pratipat to Trayodasi, one should continue the ceremony to the accompaniment of dancing, singing, and beating of a drum, the chanting of prayers and all auspicious mantras, and recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the religious, ritualistic ceremony known as Payo-vrata, by which one may worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I received this information from Brahma, my grandfather, and now I have described it to you in detail. O most fortunate lady, establishing your mind in a good spirit, execute this process of Payo-vrata, and thus worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Keshava, who is inexhaustible. Whew. Did you catch all of it? Text 60, this Payo-vrata is also known as Sarva Yajna. In other words, by performing this sacrifice, one can perform all other sacrifices automatically. This is also acknowledged to be the best of all ritualistic ceremonies. O gentle lady, it is the essence of all austerities, and it is the process of giving charity and pleasing the Supreme Controller. Purport. Today's purport. Aradhanam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param. This is a statement made by Lord Shiva to Parvati. Worshipping Lord Vishnu is the supreme process of worship, and how Lord Vishnu is worshipped in this Payo-vrata ceremony has now been fully described. The ultimate goal of life is to please Lord Vishnu by varnashrama dharma. The Vedic principles of 4 varnas and 4 ashramas are meant for worship of Vishnu. Vishnu aradhanam pumsam nanya tattoshakaranam. The Krishna consciousness movement is also Vishnu aradhanam, or worship of Lord Vishnu according to the age. The Payo-vrata method of Vishnu aradhanam was enunciated long, long ago by Kashyapa Muni to his wife, Aditi, in the heavenly planets. And the same process is bona fide on earth, even now. Especially for this age of Kali, the process accepted by the Krishna consciousness movement is to open hundreds and thousands of Vishnu temples. Temples of Radha Krishna, Jagannath, Balaram, Sitaram, Gauranitai, and so on. Performing prescribed worship in such temples of Vishnu, and thus worshipping the Lord, is as good as performing the Payo-vrata ceremony recommended here. The Payo-vrata ceremony is performed from the 1st to the 13th day of the bright fortnight of the moon, but in our Krishna consciousness movement, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in every temple, according to a schedule of 24 hours of engagement in performing kirtan, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, offering palatable food to the Lord, and distributing this food to Vaishnavas and others. These are authorized activities. And if the members of the Krishna consciousness movement stick to these principles, they will achieve the same result one gains by observing the Payo-vrata ceremony. Okay, Haribol. Thus, the essence of all auspicious activities, such as performing yajna, giving in charity, observing vratas, and undergoing austerities, is included in the Krishna consciousness movement. The members of this movement should immediately and sincerely follow the process already recommended. Of course, sacrifice is meant to please Lord Vishnu. Yajnai sankirtana prayer, yajantihi sumedasa. In Kali Yuga, those who are intelligent perform sankirtan yajna. One should follow this process conscientiously. I offer my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vanshakalpadurvascha kripa sindhava evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Now, before I make any statement, I'll see if you have any reflections or questions. Yes?
Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj, Danvat Pranam Jai Srila Prabhupada. Why was Aditi given 12 days of worship, but Diti was given 1 year full? Like, it was given by Kashyapa only, right? To Diti also wanted to have her sons take revenge, and here also there is same. So why there is a difference in his instructions?
It's same, but different. There can be adjustment in yajna according to the time, place, and circumstance. What else? Any other questions? Yes. Radhakripa Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, I'm really grateful to Srila Prabhupada for the purport. I was feeling like if I would have read Srimad Bhagavatam without reading the purport, I would have started thinking maybe, I should start focusing on 12 days, maybe I'll achieve whatever I need to do it. And the complexity to follow that one, but Prabhupada has simplified that the moment which we have at Krishna Consciousness Movement, if we follow that thing, we achieve everything, all included. So really grateful to Srila Prabhupada for explaining in a simplest manner. Otherwise we would have been confused even reading Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you for extracting the main point. Hare Krishna. Yes, 1, 2.
Thank you, Maharaj, for sharing the life and legacy of His Holiness Badrinath Maharaj. And few days before, I was thinking that every one of us, at least I'll say for me or devotees, many times I see that we become devotee because of that some personal connection we had with another devotee. it always has like a big impact on any people who come in Krishna consciousness. And yesterday only I got a message from my god brother Omkar Prabhu. He was missing Maharaj, and he told that how when he came first time after living in India, and then he moved here in Denver, and how Maharaj inspired him to go to the different door-to-doors, do the services, and he was missing him so much dearly. And he told that he didn't realize that Maharaj association before he left this world. So I was just thinking, contemplating that how the Vishnu or the Krishna bhakti comes through the association of devotees, and how they are very important in our life and in journey. So thank you so much for bringing that in our today's talk. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Katha.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I wanted to ask the question of what is the difference between Karma Kanda and Upasana Kanda. We hear these terms again and again in Prabhupada purports. So, if you could clarify, there are three Kandas: Karma Kanda, Gyan Kanda, and Upasana Kanda.
For every sadhya or goal, there's a particular kind of sadhana. And those, as Krishna mentions in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, who are most interested in renouncing the world. Some people feel that the material world is abhorrent, and they want to get it off them as fast as possible. So he said they take to Gyan. As Gyan is systematic way of detaching oneself through cultivating knowledge, the difference between matter and spirit, so that one disassociates oneself with the material world. He says then that those who are still attached very much to the material world, they perform karma kanda in the sense that they still have some vested interest in the world, and therefore they engage in activities that help position them in the material world for better life. But then he says for those who are neither too detached nor too attached, they're perfect for upasana kanda, or the process of bhakti. So the three paths are named according to their process and the intention of the process. Bhakti is on the upasana kanda path.
If I may ask one follow-up, Guru Maharaj.
Sure.
Because Upasana Kanda also mentions about demigod worship. So how is it different from Karma Kanda? Many times in Karma Kanda also they say we offer worship to demigods and then to get some position in the world or in the higher planets. So my question was on that lines, how do we differentiate Upasana Kanda from Karma?
Well, the way Prabhupada differentiates it is by context. Because when he talks about karma kanda or jnana kanda, upasana kanda, he categorically mentions upasana kanda for those who are interested in Krishna and in bhakti. But in other circumstances, he talks about it involving worship of the demigods. So in the categorical sense that it's different from jnana and karma, the upasana kanda is for the worship of the Lord. To the degree that it involves demigod worships, to that degree it's less about bhakti and more about engagement in activities that require adjustment in the material world. So it's according to context. The Payo-vrata vow, as in always captured my attention for several reasons. One is that the means by which one can rise above moroseness, which is caused by losing track of oneself and the goal of life, and giving way to the lower modes of material nature is through the process of yajna. We have to engage our senses. If we don't engage our senses in activities that are related to Krishna, then we naturally engage them in materialistic activities, because no one can stop doing something even for a moment. So it's guidance given through which we have many activities to engage in the service of Krishna. The other observation is that there are many details given about how to worship the Lord. I mean, in a simple way, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Jagnartat kamanon yatra loko yam karma bandhana tarartam karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. That the process of yajna is so effective because Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifice, and he's the root of all existence. And it's only by giving our attention to him can we feel full and happy. And when we give our energy to Krishna, our devotion, or even material goods through sacrifice, our attention goes to Krishna and we're naturally uplifted. Then there are many specific ways in which one is advised to think of Krishna. The Payo-vrata vow has obvious details to it that when we hear them, as Radhakripa Prabhu said, you might think in your mind, okay, how am I going to get that rice cooked? And where am I going to find 2 brahmanas and so forth? And then, knowing that the acharyas are expert in bringing us the essential aspects of yajna and giving them to us in such a way that we don't have to do any a la carte ordering off menu, and also consolidating the main points into those kinds of activities that we're qualified for and that have a systemic effect. This is what acharyas do. And specifically, Prabhupada says in this purport that we're already doing all these things. We may forget, due to taking our activities as a routine, that all of these are vetted and highly effective activities. And in that way, Krishna mentions to Uddhava that sometimes sadhus who live by the Ganga sometimes go elsewhere to take a bath because they say, oh, it's just the Ganges. I live here, so I'll go somewhere else. And as much as there's a statement even in Christian context that a saint is never much appreciated at home. Someone said, yeah, we see that person all the time. Therefore, it's important and helpful to come back to the essential practices of Krishna consciousness and remember what our goal is. In 1975, in the opening of the Krishna Balaram Mandir, Srila Prabhupada hired a plethora of brahmanas. And they were all from the local area, well-known brahmanas. And they wore their dhotis just so. They had thick Brahmin threads. They knew mantras, mudras. They had yantras. They knew all the tantras. They could recite verses like the wind. And for days on end, they performed fire sacrifices. They brought the deities out and worshipped them according to the pancharatric system of how to install a deity. Deities were blindfolded. When the blindfold came off, there had to be a certain group of people standing before them. It's the first thing they glance at. There was a golden wire, solid gold wire that had to be attached to one thing and another thing. There were pots and little kushis, the spoons that could offer padyam, argyam, madhuparka, achmaniya, etc. Rice flew through the air, mixed with turmeric in various directions as mantras were uttered day after day. And Prabhupada attended. He was visible there. Meanwhile, he asked his disciples to chant in Harinam. We're adjacent to the yajna going on. It was, at that time, mostly Europeans and Americans. So that's mostly what there was. In the way of young devotees who were in the Krishna conscious movement, and they were enthusiastic. And they performed Harinam Kirtan there, standing, not sitting, for hours and hours and hours, with dancing and drumming and kartals, and Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. After the deities had been installed, artis had been performed, and Prabhupada wrote about the event in a purport. And he said, all of the yantras, tantras, the rice throwing, the brahmanas, were not necessary for the installation of the deity. He said all that was necessary was the Harinam Kirtan that was being performed there. And he also mentioned that he only invited all the brahmanas because if he hadn't done all the rituals and had the qualified brahmanas perform the ritual ceremonies, that the people of Vrindavan, most of them, wouldn't have accepted that the deity had been installed properly and wasn't present. That's not a small truncation of the process. It's significant that Prabhupada made that statement in his purport, saying that the chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in Kirtan by Westerners was better than the yantras, tantras, mantras performed over many, many days, the rice flying through the air, the golden wires tied from here to there. Because he essentialized the process and gave us, according to Shastra, all the details of these rituals combined into a way we could follow them. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did a similar thing when he talked about the 64 items of devotional service. He combined or condensed them into 5 that he said, if you follow these even a little bit, even without faith, then you will have complete success in devotional service. Worshipping the deity, how Archa, form of the Lord, Prabhupada established all over the world, and he gave us Archana Paddhati. But you know, in 1975 also, he asked for our own Paddhatis because there was a fledgling attempt to worship the deities, and in some places, even in far-flung places like Australia, far-flung according to our estimation. It's one of the longest flights you could ever take. It's on the other side of the world. The water runs backwards in the drain because it's opposite world. He left devotees there who were unacquainted with deity worship, and he prayed to the deity, I have to go, please train them up. it was important for him to establish deities, because without the vision of the deity, without having the Archa Vigraha and the Panchratric process to worship the Lord, then our senses would not become pure enough to chant Hare Krishna steadily, which is the main process for liberation in the age of Kali, is to chant Hare Krishna with purity. But if we don't have deity worship, if we don't come to see the deity, if we don't get cleaned up and ring the bell and come in and offer obeisances and see the deity and bring a flower and bow before the Lord and see his smiling face, and if everything isn't beautiful and nice, then we'll look at some magazine somewhere. Like, I don't know, Vogue, is that still going? Vogue, yeah. Or any other number of things in the material world. What's more, the Arsha form is unlimitedly merciful because all of the Lord's incarnations are there within the deity form. So when we come here and see the Lord and offer obeisances to him, we get the benefit of worshiping all the different forms of the Lord. They're all there within that deity form of the Lord. It's an amazingly merciful appearance of the Lord. He stands still, like this. So just so that we can see him. We know from the story of Shakshi Gopal that the young Brahmana said, "You're not a statue. You're the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself." And that deity had come to bear witness on behalf of his devotee. Where else can you go in Silicon Valley to find absorption in the Supreme Personality of Godhead? I was at an appointment somewhere and I heard some people talking about where they go to play ping pong. I have nothing against table tennis. It's a fantastic sport. I used to play it a lot when I was a kid. But that's the topic of conversation, and that's what you have to do if you don't have the archa to go see. You have to play ping pong. It's required. Or something like that. To be active, to move your senses. And since we have the deities to worship, we brought home, because of the kids were engaged in the gratitude fair and they raised money, a lot of money, I guess, because I was Nirkula told me, we're bringing home the outfit for Gaur Purnima. I said, well, we better get there then. That's one thing. And then the outfit better get there. And I thought, what will it be? A little package we'll carry. And they brought in a suitcase, and I was like, whoa, that's heavy. We brought it, and then it was glorious. The fact that they were wearing that beautiful outfit, the devotees had planned for weeks, if not months, how to make the moon-like setting. For Gaur Purnima, it was all white. They had planned it out, thought it out, and the kids had intentionally raised money to buy that outfit, to speak of design it and think of it and dream of it and then come see the Lord wearing that. If you don't have that, where will you go? What will you look at? Something else. So the archa worship is important. Back to 1975, Prabhupada wanted an Archana Padati for ISKCON. And he said, Hari Bhakti Vilas. Now, if he had stopped there, period, we'd be in big trouble. As the Hari Bhakti Vilas, I have godbrothers who followed the Hari Bhakti Vilas, or tried to, as closely as possible, because they felt that real devotional service means you have to follow all the details. And I can remember the class of one beloved godbrother of mine who was opining during his class that unless you follow all the regulations for Kartik Vrat that are there in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, you're not really following it. But if you read all those, you'd faint. And you'd probably faint from following all of them too. But Prabhupada had a different mood and message for us, because he said he wanted all the worship of the Hari Bhakti Vilas in a book, but he said 35, 40 pages. That's one of the biggest editing jobs anybody could ever do. And I don't think the devotees lived up to it. The first book was first produced, Pradyumna started, but he was busy with other things, and it got passed on to Jayatirtha. And the child prodigy in Bengali in his last life, Jai Sachinandan, who knew Bengali Sanskrit. He was an American, but Prabhupada said, Bengali in your last life. He helped to translate the whole thing, put it out. It was more than 40 pages, but even that was slightly complex. It took some training to learn that. But Prabhupada wanted condensed. And when Pradyumna mentions he was learning how to do fire yagyas for Prabhupada, Prabhupada's weddings were very simple. They took about 5-10 minutes. Garland exchange. Do you promise? Yes. Do you promise? Yes. Married. Fire yagyas, Pradyumna said, Prabhupada, I'm studying all these things about this yagya, that yagya, this name, that, and this part of it. What would you like? Prabhupada leaned over, he said, shortcut. Jiva Goswami says something similar. He says, any of the rituals we perform in deity worship or anywhere else have to be preceded by and ended by chanting Hare Krishna. That's what makes them successful. Not the extensive rituals, tying strings on this and that, throwing rice here and there, although it's kind of fun. It's the chanting of the holy names. That's the Yagnai Sankirtana prayer, Yajantihi Sumedasa. That's the ritual for the age of Kali. That's the sacrifice, that's the worship. And unless you have an acharya who's associated with the topmost devotees and who has imbibed this mood, who brings it and then sets the path, then how is everyone going to accommodate? And what's more, people generally get into the details and then make them so exclusive that hardly anybody can follow them. Or they exclude people from following certain rituals because they only this one can follow, only that one can follow. But we find the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Kiva Viprakipa Nyasi Shudurkina Noi, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Seguruhoy. This is revolutionary because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was at a time when there were unlimited rules and regulations to follow. But he said, what really counts is if somebody knows the science of Krishna, and such a person should be given the opportunity to become a teacher of Krishna consciousness and respected as such. So there's our Archana process, our minister of deity worship, the Sringa Kavacha Prabhu, who's been here before. He's one of the most affable people on earth. He also knows about rules and regulations. He stays at during the GBC meetings. He knows all the procedures that you have to follow in order to have a bona fide meeting. So if somebody brings up a point, they'll call on him and say, is that working right? And you go, no, you have to say this before you say that, etc. And in deity worship, he knows all the things. Yet he doesn't have any deities at home. He told me, so I do that because Prabhupada said, come worship at the temple. Unless you live far away and you can't come, don't prioritize your own home worship and don't make it too complicated. Many people don't know that, but that's our deity worship minister's example. And once I was harassing him, we were driving on a rickshaw to Navadvip town because I wanted to, you might remember this, some of you were around that time. I purchased 50 Artik plates, complete. You remember that? Because I was doing a little seminar on how to offer Artik, because not many people knew how to offer Artik, what the order was. So I ordered 50 trays, fully equipped, and I brought them all home. and I wanted him to help me pick them out down in. And on the way there, I was talking about the order in which you offer the items to the Lord, because there was a big controversy. It's starting with from Prabhupada, then you go up, and then some were saying, no, you show it to Prabhupada, then you offer to Krishna first, then you go down. I was going on and on. We were on a bicycle rickshaw going into town. It was like this, that, up or down, up or down, up or down. He turns to me and said, Vaish, it doesn't matter. I said, boy, if I had a microphone, here's the minister of deity worship. He said the main thing is offer with devotion. Doesn't mean discard the rules and regulations. If you have a local process, follow it. But if somebody comes from another place and they go the other direction, it's not a huge deal. They're offering artik. Prabhupada had instilled this clarity. It's there in his books. It's there in his teachings. The way we worship the deity, it's with devotion. It's simple. And he said cleanliness. He said opulence means flowers. Punctuality, cleanliness, flowers. He didn't let us offer real jewelry to the deities because he said it'll attract thieves. There were devotees who thought, we'll be more Catholic than the Pope, and we'll get fancier things. People were getting solid gold jewelry with real gems. Prabhupada said, don't do that. It'll attract thieves. It's all transcendental, the jewelry that deity wears. These are ways in which the Acharya gives us clarity about the mood and method for worshiping. Yes? Somebody's blocking.
There is a tow truck actually, they're towing the car. If you are parked close to 7-Eleven, there's a PG&D work going on. If your car is there, it might be already in the tow truck. So just thought to let you know.
So relax. Do you know what kind of car it was? If you want to give anybody a... What? The devotee who had it? If anybody else has a car there, it's really a hassle to get your car back. It's tyranny, pure tyranny. In fact, my car was once towed from downtown San Francisco. Nirkula will vouch for me, I didn't go back to San Francisco for 10 years after that. I boycotted San Francisco. And now if I ever go back, I'm going to take one of those Waymos. So we have deity worship. We have living in the Holy Dham as one of the 5. And Prabhupada invited us to come to Vrindavan in Mayapur. We should, at some point in our lives, drop what we're doing and go. Of course, visas and all that stuff is important. Don't do anything foolhardy, but it's important to come to the Dham and there hear and chant with the devotees when possible. We have association with devotees. We should never take it for granted. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta. If you hear somebody say Hare Krishna, according to Rupa Goswami, they're a devotee. And dikshasti chet pranati bishta panshantam isham. If somebody has taken a vow to chant Hare Krishna as their life and soul, you should get down on your head and say, you're worshipable. And if somebody's been steady in chanting Hare Krishna after vow for many, many years, you should try to get their association. And it's important to take advantage of devotee association, appreciate devotees, because they have something even more important than Krishna. They have love of Krishna, and that's what we want. And they're the ones that carry it within their heart. Bhavad vida bhagavatas tirta bhuta swayam bibo tirta kurvanti tirtani swantakstena gadabrita. They're walking dhams. And we only make advancement in devotional service by getting association with those whose intention is pure to worship Krishna. Then we have, what do we have left? Srimad Bhagavatam. Everyone should read Srimad Bhagavatam every day. If you read one verse a day, you'll finish in 50 years. So you can calculate that if you have 50 years left, the actuary charts give us to 77 years old. And if you are a woman, you get a little longer. Say it. 73, if you have unhealthy habits. Smoke, don't wear your safety belt, etc., etc. So calculate, figure out how to read the Bhagavatam. Out of 64, there's only 5 that you have to fully embrace to be successful in this lifetime. Find out what's most important, and then there's chanting Hare Krishna. It's a channel to the spiritual world. One can have complete success by chanting Hare Krishna. Don't take it for granted. Try to cultivate association with those who have a taste. Read about it, study the mantra, find out. Stay alive somehow in Krishna consciousness. Don't just succumb. Nobody's having a good time out there. Everyone who's avoiding Krishna is in a lot of trouble. And there's no way out of it. You have to do yajna. Figure out which yajnas count the most, just like in investing. Don't waste time. Figure out highest return on investment, the simplest process for investing. Don't get me started. I won't say more. And stick with it your whole life. And so this statement by Prabhupada is consequential for us. We should think of this, what he's saying in this chapter. It's in the Bhagavatam, all these rules, regulations, Payo-vrata vow. You can have the 10, 11-day vow, or as Krishna Saka said, well, what about the 100-day vow? You want to do that? Prabhupada, we're already doing it. Everything's in place. Assimilate what you have. Follow the simple path strictly. Don't get fancy. Figure out where to put your energy every day so that you come to the goal of life. And this is helpful in focusing our energies. Now we'll take some questions. You got to ask a question. It's hard to ask a question, I understand. And I still have $100 in my pocket from last night because I offered anybody $100 if they asked a bad question. Yeah, it's still here. Okay, go ahead. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3. If I come to Nayaka's here, so life is back to normal. Mukarvin, go ahead, and then we'll go to the big board.
Maharaj, even in Krishna consciousness, like in our society, some of the things are mentioned, like for example, Bhisma Panchak and the other things. What is your opinion or about that process?
My opinion is not so important. It's Prabhupada's opinion that's important. He's the Acharya. And if you want to find out how to live a happy life and be successful in Krishna consciousness, study what Prabhupada did. If Prabhupada invested in Bhishma Panchaka, then you should too, if he made it a point. He didn't. He made general statements that you can make much of, like he said, austerity means fasting as far as possible on fast days. But Prabhupada, when asked on one occasion, it's a conversation you can listen to, devotees were going to get initiated that day, and somebody asked on their behalf, should they fast today before the initiation? And Prabhupada said, they're already fasting. They don't eat meat, fish, or eggs. That's fasting. And as far as Akashi goes, Prabhupada didn't go to extreme measures. We never saw him stay up all night. Some devotees have taken this, like, okay, I'm going to stay up all night. Well, what are you going to do tomorrow then? Prabhupada was very practical. He didn't take to those kind of extremes. So, did Prabhupada follow Bhishma Panchaka? If not, then, as stated in this note, then you don't have to. Don't be more Catholic than the Pope. Don't try to figure out something extra, because it can become a distraction from the most important things.
Thank you, Maharaj.
You're welcome. Okay, let's see. Who's on the far left? I can't even see. Oh, fantastic. Go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. And thanks so much for picking up this such a
Where are
relevant-
you?
In Zoom Dham, Fairfax, Marine.
We're all coming over today.
Very welcome. Please come over. Beautiful sunny sky
We
here.
want to come to Fairfax and see you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Maharaj, for picking up this relevant topic. And before I ask my question, a quick fun fact. As you and many of you know, Narsinkat Prabhu is Shiksha Guru as well, right? And since you brought up his name today, I would like to share every day I remember his words, kind of typical Australian accent. Deity worship is simple, don't make it complex. So that's what he would always say. That deity worship is always simple unless we want to make it complex. And everybody who asks me, Mantra Siddhi, we just give the first instruction is like, don't make it complex, because just don't try to be more Catholic than the Pope. So I have a question, and kind of partly Mukharvind Prabhu already asked just now. So because association of devotees is one of the prime things that we are required to have in our devotional life. Now this association of devotees also exerts an unnecessary pressure, call it peer pressure or expectations. Think of it like I run 5 miles a day, which I don't. Let's say if I run 5 miles a day, I expect everybody in my circle of influence to run 5 miles a day. Which means if I am observing certain austerities, certain things which is not in our parampara, which I may have adopted from some other parampara, and I don't want to offend anybody, but there are things that some devotees do. Now this exerts an undue pressure on the other devotees, like, oh, I must be also doing because that Mataji did, or that Prabhuji was doing it, so I must be also doing it, right? Now that ends up, did you complete your rounds? Nah, it's 10 o'clock already at night. When will you chant? No, maybe on the weekend I'll cover. Did you do some reading today? No reading today. What were you doing? I was having with that some big grand event which is probably adopted from some other parampara outside. So how do we as devotees, we develop that wisdom to have the discretion between what is Srila Prabhupada's mood? It's one thing to say that yes, Prabhupada's mood, but then how do we actually implement in our lives and say, this is where I draw a line and say, this is my instructions from my spiritual master, and I'm going to stick to these things, versus adopting certain things which other devotees are doing, with all due respect to them.
Thank you for your question. It's very important, and you can't have the $100. I remember a humorous anecdote where the devotee Prabhupada had said, and I can't remember the exact details, but he had said, well, such and such told me to do it. Because he had done something that was a little off-road. And Prabhupada said, well, if such and such tells you to jump off a bridge, will you do that? And I'm laughing because Shraddha's laughing. It's helpful to have a bona fide representative who you follow. And bona fide representatives means somebody who's following Prabhupada's mood and mission. And I recall a brahmachari who was working under the shelter of H.G.Vaisesika Swami, who's very straightforward in his enactment of Prabhupada's instructions. In fact, one time, as Devamrita Swami explains, Prabhupada, when he was in Los Angeles, and he said he sat down and he said, Jayadvaita means parampara. So, as you may know, if you've read his book, H.G.Vaisesika Swami's book on kirtan standards, he has a very succinct way of describing what to do and what not to do based on what he saw Prabhupada do or not do. Of course, there's some discussion around that, and therein lies, some slight variations. But this brahmachari, before Maharaj had written his book, H.G.Vaisesika Maharaj had said Prabhupada chanted like this and he didn't chant like that. And during one Guru Puja, he had not chanted in a certain way that most people were used to chanting. I hope that makes sense. So far, does it? And afterwards, some people cornered him and said, "Why didn't you chant that?" And he said, "I was not instructed to chant that because my Shiksha Guru has told me, chant like this." And so, if you have clear representation and you have clarity as far as what to do, what not to do, you'll find that if you have shelter of somebody that you can point to and saying, such and such did it like this, or if you have clear knowledge about, after studying the way Prabhupada did, you will have confidence that it's okay to do it like this or like that. After all, Prabhupada said, I put everything in my purports. So if you read them and you figure out what Prabhupada's mood is, and if you want more detail, you can read all his letters and find out what kinds of ways Prabhupada expressed himself and asked us to do certain things and asked us to not do certain things. You find that out through parampara, people who were there or know people were there. For instance, I have a godbrother whom I deeply respect, who I've spent a lot of time with. He had a lot of personal association with Prabhupada. We were discussing one day at his house about his previous association with Lalit Prasad Thakur, who was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's brother. He was an acharya. He had his own huge group of disciples. And in ISKCON at a certain time, we just had a trickle of knowledge of bhajan and things like that, because we just picked up what Prabhupada did and we didn't know how to play. There was no teraketa, very little information, so devotees did what they could. And in any case, this devotee and a colleague had gone to spend time with Lalit Prasad Thakur because they were picking up all bhajan tunes and Bhaktivinoda stuff. And he showed me the letter Prabhupada wrote to him. He said, "My dear such and such, Lalit Prasad Thakur is a pure devotee in his own right. However, because he had a disagreement, he has a disagreement, it was present tense, with my Guru Maharaj. They had a difference. He said, therefore I ask you not to go there and associate with him, otherwise you'll have a misunderstanding." Prefaced by, he's a pure devotee in his own right, but I ask you not to go and associate with him because he has a difference of opinion with my spiritual master, therefore you'll have a misunderstanding. So there is a way to have a composite understanding of Srila Prabhupada's mood and methods. And if you associate with those who have imbibed those things over time and you inquire, if you want to know how to adhere to the mood and mission of Prabhupada, then you find out. Otherwise, what's parampara for? Why not just get the Veda base, which is helpful, but you also want to hear in between the lines, how did Prabhupada apply certain things? And if you can cultivate that, then you can feel confident in doing the things that you do. Let's take the next question because I'm running out of time. Who is on the big board next? Vaikuntanayaka. Fantastic.
As Guru Maharaj always
Hare Krishna.
used to do.
He has a very successful program there in Mysore. We've seen it now with our own eyes. People are coming and becoming fully Krishna conscious. They're going on book distribution. He has a throng of people coming to his house on a regular basis where they hold kirtans and Bhagavat readings, and then they go out on book distribution. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. You coming was the icing on the cake. Actually, it was so reassuring for me what you said today about keeping this about where you talked about how Srila Prabhupada's mood was when he got the deities installed in the Vrindavan temple. And he mentioned that the focus should be on Harinam. And I remember when you came, when we were in the US some 11 years ago, you actually came to our home for the deity consecration ceremony. You gave the very same instruction to me that, okay, keep the deity worship very simple. And you mentioned that the deities Gaunitai will be more happy when you go out for books and do book distribution than actually engaging just on the ritual. You actually told that actually in the same mood as Srila Prabhupada, you continued with this. And I was just contrasting that how, particularly in South India, there is so much importance on ritualistic worship. There are some sects, they miss like the saying goes, missing the woods for the trees. I went to one of the most traditional temples in South India, and the pujari there, he did and some puja for me, and he came up and I bless you that you get all dharma, artha, kama. I said, not even moksha? What about Krishna prema? Nothing about that? And he said, and he was like, no, all that is later. Like, first is this. Only after you go through dharma, artha, kama, you can think of all those other things. You don't worry about it now. So I was thinking how grateful we should be to Srila Prabhupada, to you, to Guru Parampara, that they took the main essence out of it and not got lost in all these rituals. Those were my 2 cents.
Thank you very much, Vaikuntha Nayak. It's so good to see you. Hare Krishna. Okay, there's somebody else up there? Oh, Tunga Vidya. Go ahead, Tunga Vidya.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Earlier, you stated that whatever path we follow, the simple path, we should follow it strictly. So just as I was reflecting on that statement, I was thinking, I definitely feel that sometimes I do things, any service that I do is often out of duty. It's because I know that I should do it. So I was wondering, like, do we get the same result if we follow some path or whatever service we do, if we do it out of duty instead of out of love? And then the second question to that would be, could
we do one question at a time?
Sure.
It requires a higher IQ than mine to do 2 at a time. Yes, in the beginning, we do things out of duty because by doing so, we'll gradually develop love. And Prabhupada gives an example in the Nectar of Devotion. He talks about Mangalartik. You come and perform Mangalartik because you're dutiful. When you wake up at a certain time in the morning, required to make it to Mangalartik, and you're not used to it, you may have to become dutiful. It's a very high concept, duty. Not many people follow it. They cheat. And they try to cut corners to enrich themselves. Many people neglect their duties and do things on the side. Dutifulness is a very, very high concept. Who does it? In fact, people who do their duties are honored, at least United Airlines. If somebody's in the military and they're doing their duty, they get to get on the plane before the big shots who paid $1 million for a seat. They say, okay, you guys go first because you're doing your duty in the military. And the concept is there in society. So when we start devotional service with a sense of duty, this is no small thing. And that, Prabhupada says, in the practice of devotional service gradually leads to a sense of spontaneity. As he says, you're going dutifully to worship the deities. But what do you get out of it? Well, you can get so much. Because let's say you're there and you go on the altar, or you're not even on the altar, you're there perform the Mangalartik, and then the curtains open and you see Krishna in a light you've never seen him before. Or let's say you're offering the lamp and then you see how Krishna's smiling. It just takes 1 second to change your heart. And suddenly you're different. The same as going to the Dham. Everybody knows it's hard to go to the Dham, especially hard to come home from the Dham. And yet devotees go there because what do they get? There's something penetrates the heart that you don't get anywhere else. You might see the sunrise in Puri, and you might think of Lord Chaitanya in the ocean. You might go to a place where Prabhupada got on the Jaladuta and have a sudden moment of emotion where you think, oh, Prabhupada was right there and he got on the Jaladuta, and that might penetrate your heart and you might then be a different person. It softens your heart. It gives you an emotion that you didn't have before because you're doing your duty. So being dutiful is necessary for us to come to this point of absorbing the things that are available to us by proximity. In fact, this is called ajata ruchi, raga nuga, sadhana bhakti. This is a thing. It's mentioned by Jiva Goswami. He recognizes this. You don't have a taste, but you're dutiful. Ajata, your emotion hasn't awakened yet, but your sense of duty is there. But you're following the footsteps of those who do have this sense of raga, of emotional attachment to Krishna. And watch out, because you're going to get it too. Because you're following them dutifully, following in their footsteps, it's going to rub off on you. That's what's so powerful about our process. We're really in the thick of Vrindavan. And we're going to all these places, even within our own temples, on the festival days and worshiping Krishna at different times, that we're exposing ourselves to some very radical things, the spontaneous love for Krishna. And because we're exposing ourselves, we may wake up one day and say, oh my God, I want to go to Mangalartik. I don't care what anybody says. And there may be a time in our life when we say, I only want this. I don't want anything else. We've seen it before. So be careful. Rupa Goswami says, don't go to Keshi Ghat. If you go down there, my friend, and you see Krishna in the moonlight playing his flute, you're not coming back. And if you do come back, you're not going to be the same person. So that's our system. We follow dutifully, and by proximity to the Bhagavatam, to the deities, to the Dham, something happens. And people will be talking about you, saying, what happened to such and such? They're just not the same anymore. They look inspired. And that's our system. And that's the end of the class. So, Payo-vrata vows, it's all there. Follow the simple path very strictly and imbibe the mood and method of our acharya. We're so lucky we have an acharya. We went to so many temples in South India and elsewhere. There's not an acharya prominently situated. Even Jaipur, one of the most ecstatic temples in the world, where's the Vyasasana? The acharya is sitting there looking over everybody. It's everyone, I'm directly with Krishna. Devotional service is not direct, it's indirect. And the more indirect we are, as the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, the more direct it is. That's the paradox of devotional service. So we have an acharya seated on a, how did this happen? By Krishna's causeless mercy. And if we just try to stay in our lane, it's a good lane. It'll take you all the way to where you want to go. No traffic jams, no accidents on that road given by our acharya. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Lakshmana Shringadev, if you so desire, please let us this week create a chart that shows where we are and where Mayapur is. Please, this week. And display it prominently so we know what our next goal is, because we chased LA and we surpassed them by their mercy, by Savasa's mercy, because he gave benediction to Mukaravinda, who cleverly asked him for a benediction to surpass. We have to beat Mayapur. And this is not joking around. It's not idle, wishful thinking. We have to move to the next level, and we don't have that much time. The world's a little nutty, and we don't know what's going to happen next, so let's strike while the iron's hot. We're all here together. This is all part of my prayer. Please also send us all intelligence and resources as we promise to use them to expand the Krishna conscious movement, especially through transcendental book distribution. Please let us also be aware of what's most important so we can major in those things that are most important to our founder Acharya. And let us follow the simplest of paths very, very strictly. And may we be a kind friend to all living beings and supporters of all our devotee friends and colleagues all over the world. Om Tat Sat. Thank you for considering our request. Everyone agrees with these prayers in whole or in part. Please say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And now we have the main part of our program today, which is a lecture by who? Jay. Jay is here. He looks good too. Welcome, Jay. He looks fantastic. Welcome him.
His Grace Vaisesika Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna, everybody. It's been a fantastic week hearing from Vaisesika Prabhu and, happy to have him back after a long break and, of course, a lot of nectar from the yatra. And now continuing the nectar, it's such a joy to hear and such a relief actually this morning to hear how simple devotional service is, simple for the simple. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity that we can hear directly from Srila Prabhupada disciple on the practical applications of how Srila Prabhupada wanted to live a very simple experience in Krishna consciousness. Krishna is very heartfully connecting to us just through the holy name. He's there in the holy name. So today's presentation actually ties in very well with this topic. And it's going to be presented by Jay, as we already introduced. What does it really mean to always think of Krishna? That's the topic.
Hare Krishna, dear. Wait, Mataji, the slide.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. My name is Jay Shukla. Today, I will be presenting on the topic, what does it mean to always think of Krishna? From the book, Secrets of Bhakti, by His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. Did you know that even Krishna's enemies were always thinking about him? Kamsa thought about Krishna in fear, Hiranyakashipu thought about Krishna in anger, and Shishupal in jealousy. But just thinking about Krishna is not enough. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches us how to remember him with love. Great teachers explain that this means to immerse our minds in the 7 oceans of his divine qualities. His compassion, kindness, beauty, sweetness, generosity, greatness, and affection. Bhakti is not just remembering Krishna, it is remembering him with gratitude and love, like bathing in an ocean of his wonderful qualities. This first ocean shows Krishna's compassion. A demon named Putana came to kill baby Krishna with poison, but instead of punishing her, Krishna forgave her and accepted her like a mother. This shows that Krishna's mercy or compassion is unlimited. That is why Krishna is called Karunya Jaladi, the ocean of compassion. This ocean reveals something amazing about Krishna's character. Even though he is the Supreme Lord, he chooses to act with humility. He bows down to his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, and faithfully serves his teacher, Sandipani Muni. After defeating the cruel King Kamsa, Krishna does not take the throne. Instead, he restored King Ugrasena and stood before him with folded hands. Even though he is the most powerful person in the universe, he acts like the most respectful person in the room. That is why Krishna is called Soshilya Jaladi, the ocean of noble character. This ocean reveals Krishna's sweetness. The saints describe that everything about Krishna is sweet. His smile is sweet, his face is sweet, his words are sweet, and even the way he walks is sweet. When Krishna speaks, his voice is so charming that it attracts the hearts of everyone who hears him. But not only Krishna himself, everything connected to him is also sweet. His pastimes, qualities, and especially his holy name. The scriptures say that even if someone chants his name just once, it brings blessing and upliftment. That is why Krishna is called Madhurya Jaladi, the ocean of sweetness. This ocean shows Krishna's beauty. The scriptures say that Krishna is the source of all beauty. His blue complexion, peacock feather, yellow garments, and sweet flute attract every heart. The gopis of Vrindavan love to look at him so much that they wish they could stop blinking. This is why Krishna is called Saundarya Jaladi, the ocean of beauty. This ocean reveals Krishna's divine gravity. When Arjuna stood broken and confused on the battlefield, Krishna did not speak lightly. He spoke the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. When Indra became proud, Krishna gravely corrected him. When Brahma committed an offense, Krishna stayed silent, teaching through gravity rather than emotion. This is why Krishna is called Gambhirya Jaladi, the ocean of gravity. This ocean reveals Krishna's deep generosity. As Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna freely gave away the highest treasure, Krishna Prem, love for Krishna. He did not ask who was qualified or unqualified. He opened the door to everyone. Krishna is generous, but when he appears as his own devotee, his compassion overflows without limit. This is why Krishna is called Audarya Jaladi, the ocean of benevolence. This final ocean shows Krishna's affection. Krishna's love, and the scriptures say that Krishna's love is far greater than the love of millions of mothers. Once Mother Yashoda was able to tie Krishna with ropes, not because she was stronger, but because her love controlled him. When the gopis of Vrindavan were in need of him, Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill with his pinky to protect them. Krishna is strong, but more than that, he is loving. This is why Krishna is called Vatsalya Jaladi, the ocean of affection. Manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhya jeev mam namaskuru, mame vaishyasi uktvevam, atmanam mat parayanaha. Translation: engage your mind, always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Conclusion: all spiritual practices lead to this one goal, to remember Krishna. When our minds stay connected to him, our hearts become purified, peaceful, and filled with devotion. By immersing ourselves in these 7 oceans of his qualities, we learn how to truly follow his instruction, to be always Krishna conscious. Hare Krishna, thank you. Thank you.
Way to go, Jay. That's fantastic. I really liked how confident you were with everything, and you stood upright and just delivered straightforwardly. And the conclusion you brought with the Manmana Bhav Bhakto brought new meaning to that verse, because then you gave us all the ways in which we could remember Krishna. Curious about your engagement with the material that you obviously went deeply into. Did you have any experiences while you were looking into Krishna's various oceanic qualities that piqued your imagination or your attraction to Krishna? Were any of them especially meaningful to you in your cultivation of this when you're developing the talk?
Well, I realized that, well, for your question, I actually realized not more to Krishna, but like human and Krishna, they're more connected, because these 7 oceans, all of humanity, they have at least a little bit of each ocean. But Krishna, he has all 100% of everything. So that's why he's the supreme curator and most powerful person in the universe.
Nice answer. Well done. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Jay. That was excellent. Any other questions, comments? Yes, Shuddhama.
Thank you so much, Jay. It was an excellent presentation. I really like the way you opened your presentation by something completely opposite, like, Kamsa also used to think about Krishna. So very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to share actually these 7 oceanic qualities. I was curious how it came about. And actually this is a commentary by Sri Ramanujacharya on the Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto verse. This is how he comments on them, the qualities of Krishna, how we can meditate and always think of him. So this is why it was a very nice experience for me too, and to study together with him. I have never heard of this before. So any other questions or comments at this time? Okay, so we will stop here. I just want to quickly mention that Jay started to attend Sunday school this year, and actually last year, and his mother Momita had moved from Tracy just to be closer to the temple and her work. And she came to Krishna consciousness by hearing about Amogalila Prabhu's classes online. And that's how she wanted to connect to ISKCON, and then she walked into our temple. So we're very grateful that she brought you, and she brought a wonderful exploration of your childhood in Krishna consciousness, and we are very grateful that, Mataji is so humble. She serves, doing menial services, helping out devotees. More importantly, I've noticed she offered to drive a devotee, 2 children, new children coming from Fremont. She went from Mountain View to Fremont and back just so that they could attend Sunday school. So that was her kindness. I'm very touched by that, actually, personally. So I wanted to mention that. So thank you very much, Jay, for all your effort, and thank you to your mom. I'd like to hand over for announcements. Thank you.
We have a first letters ceremony. We also have the second half of a grain ceremony. If you want to do announcements first, we can do that. On the other hand, you're ready to go, right? So what would you like to do? Okay, give announcements and then we'll do the ritual. You start.
Hare Krishna. after the day of Gaur Purnima, we started our marathon actually for the Bhadra Purnima, where we plan to distribute globally at least 100,008 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. And we are going to declare that after every program, after every class, so that just to remind ourselves. It's actually a huge goal, but we should start by thinking that assuming it can be done, and then we will move forward. And today, and also this also marks our starting of the Ram Navami monthly Sankirtan festival that is coming up very, very quickly in just 2 more weeks. And we have a lot of spots of book distribution today. Every opportunity that we have, like festivals, cultural things that are going on around the world, can be used as an opportunity for book distribution. So this week, a lot of people are celebrating Holi. Though it was last Monday, they are celebrating the weekend after. So we have a Holi festival in Fremont, we have a Holi festival in San Jose, and we have Holi festival in other cities. At the same time, we also have a festival in San Francisco, Chinese festival, because there's a Chinese New Year festival also going on as well in San Francisco, and it is mentioned more than 500,000 people go there. So we have a team going there as well. So every opportunity is available for you to come, and in all these places, we are distributing Bhagavad Gita, and we also distributing Srimad Bhagavatam sets, because we want to distribute how many sets by globally? 100,008, yes, yes. So please join one of the teams. It's going to be very, very exciting. We had a very nice experience in the yatra where we went, and we were not even showing Srimad Bhagavatam, but one person came to the table and asked, do you have Srimad Bhagavatam? Not just Srimad Bhagavatam. Do you have Srimad Bhagavatam written by Srila Vyasadeva? And do you have Srimad Bhagavatam which has 12 cantos and 18,000 verses? So very, very specific. So from this we know that people are looking for these books. All we have to be is ready with the books, and they will come and just take it. So please join us, and we'll be very happy to accommodate you in one of the multiple spots that we have.
There's a brand new Srimad Bhagavatam first canto in Arabic, just released. We're introducing that as part of the Bhadra campaign to distribute it all over the world. So we'll be ordering multiple copies of that. It's also a possibility we'll be able to get the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in Japanese, because that's also forthcoming. And wanted to mention that these might be available. The Arabic's definitely available, and the Japanese also could be available if we pray hard enough for it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Our devotee Achyut Palram Prabhu, he met one man called Michael in Santa Cruz, and he got Michael to our home last night. I did not hear directly from Michael, but I heard from my family that Michael was going through some health issues, and because of which he read many, many books. He has been exploring, trying to go deep in spiritual life. He read 95 books just in 1 year, so roughly 3 books, 3 days for 1 book. And that much desperate he was to understand spirituality and to go deeper. All he needed is just a devotee to connect to him, to Bhagavatam. And he was so happy yesterday, the whole discussion actually last night. He was the one who was like asking the most questions, and he had so deep questions. So we were really so happy that we have this community where, you know, people can come, they'll feel belong, they can see people who look like them, who talk like them. It's very important to create that kind of community, and that's exactly what Bhakti community is trying to do. And we also saw many, many people who came to us for the first time, just seeing the room and the environment and the food and the logistics. They wanted to just help us, and they told us, they repeatedly requested, how can I do, what else can I do? People are looking for places to serve. People are looking for that community. So when you give books, please do consider to come to the community, bring your newcomer along with you, sit with us, and help this person on their journey. So bhakticommunity.com is a place to sign them up, and Mantra Zone is the first program. You can bring them in person after you give them books this weekend. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
We need a little bhajan, and we're going to have first letters and second half of a grain ceremony, which is a scientific process for divining the mood and occupation of the baby. So we'll reassemble right over here, as usual. We'll see you in a minute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
Om Swasino Govinda Swasino Chutananto Swasino Vasudeva Vishnu Dharatu Swasino Narayano Narovai Swasina Padmarabha Purushottam Dharatu Swasino Vishwakshena Vishweshwaraha Swasino Hrishikesho Harer Dharatu Swasino Vainayo Harihi Swasino Anandana Suto Harer Bhagavatu Dharatu Swasti Swasti Sumangalai Kesha Mahanshi Krishna Sakchit Ananda Ganaha Sarveshwareshwaro Dharatu Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. While we were in Vrindavan, we had some ceremonies to perform, and I was talking to one of the foremost pundits there in Vrindavan, who studied many rituals. He said the best of all mantras for such ceremonies is to chant a chapter of Bhagavad Gita, as confirmed in our own padatis that when one performs any kind of seva puja or ritual, of course we start with chanting Hare Krishna, we end with chanting Hare Krishna, but the best of all mantras for the ceremony specifically is a chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So let's together chant the Purushottam Yoga chapter. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Urdhva Mulam Adashakam Ashvatam Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavid Adaschordvam Prashvitastasya Shaka Guna Pravida Vishaya Pravala Adasya Mulan Anusantatani Karmanubandini Manushaloke Narupamasyeha Tatopalabhyate Nanto Nachadir Nacha Sampratishta Ashvatamenam Savriruda Mulam Asanga Shastrena Dritena Chitva Tatakpadam Tat Parimargitavyam Yasmin Gatana Nirvatanti Bhuya Tameva Chadyam Purusham Prapadye Yatak Pravriti Prashita Purani Nirmana Moha Jita Sangha Dosha Adhyatma Nitya Vinivritta Kama Dvanverva Mukta Sukha Dukha Samjer Gachantya Mura Paramavyayam Tad Na Tad Basayate Suryo Na Shashanko Na Pavakaha Yadgatva Na Nirvartante Taddama Paramamama Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha Manakshastan Indriyani Prakriti-stani karshati Shariram yadavapnoti Yachchapyukramatishvaraha Grihitvaitani samyati Vayuragandam vivashayat Shotram chakshushparshanam cha Rasanam granameva cha Adhishtaya manaschayam Vishayanu-pasevate Ukramantam stitam vapi Bunjanam vagunanvitam Vimudhananu Pashyanti gana chakshushaha Yatanto yoginaschainam Pashyantyatmanyavastitam Yatanto pyakritatmano Nainam Pashyanti Tetasaha Yadaditya Gatam Tejo Jagad Basayate Kilam Yachchandramasi Yachchagno Tejo Vidimamakam Shachabhutani Daryam Ojasa Pushnami Chausadi Sarva Somo Bhutva Rasatmakaha Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita Pranapana Samayukta Pachamyanam Chaturvidam Sarvasya Chaham Hridishani Vishto Mattaksmitirgyanam Apohanam Cha Vedarsha Sarver Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krid Veda Vedeva Chaham Dvavima Purusha Loke Shada Shakshada Eva Cha Shada Sarvani Bhutani Kutasto Shada Uchate Uttama Purushatvanya Paramatmetyudarita Yo loka trayama vishya vibhartavya ye ishvaraha yasmat sharamatitoham aksharada pichotamaha atosmi loke vedecha pratita purushottama yo mameva masambudo janati purushottamam Sasarva vid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata iti kuyatamam shastram idam bhuktan mayanaga, etad budva buddhiman syat, krita krita shabharata. Om Tat Sariti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Sambhade Vishotam Yoga Nama Panchadasho Dhyayaha. Okay, so Abhimanyu will have no problem. Previously we've had a little bit of coaxing to do for the child to go for the books. On this side we have Bhagavatams and Srimad Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita. On this side, Jules. And now whichever side Abhimanyu goes for will determine his direction in life. Abhi, now feel free. You've got, oh, this is new. Hare Krishna. What would you like over here? This microphone? The table? This is spontaneous. Okay. Which one? This, or this?
Scotty.
My powers of interpretation need a little adjustment here. Would you like to check these out? Go, Abhi. Here. Okay. Abhimanyu will be the next temple president. And soon, too, because he looks already grown up, actually. I don't know how he just had a grain ceremony. He gravitated towards everything here. That includes Achman cups. He'll be a pujari. He'll give a lot of classes. This is well organized, so he'll be well organized. And he'll be very determined. This is... Okay. One more try. Ooh, Bhagavatam. Jules. Okay, let him go. See? He wants what he wants. What is it? You tell us.
He's got a big smile on his face.
What do you want? Which? Achman? Yeah. Here. Put out your hand like this. Put out your hand. Here. Here. Om Keshavaya Namaha. It's the Achmans. We're going to include those from now on. What? Here. Try this. Say Haribol. Say Haribol. Hari, Hari. Hari. Hari, Hari. It's conclusive. 3 times. He's a pujari, a speaker, and a self-starter. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. No, it's Achman. There's no denying it, right, Abhi? You have to get him an Achman cup. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Well done, Abhi. Well done. Hare Krishna. These rituals are fun, but they also bring us closer to Krishna, because from the very beginning, taking first grains, Mahaprasadam, then introducing all concepts in relationship to Krishna creates an environment. Everything's paraphernalia to be used in Krishna's service. That's confirmed. Haribol. Hare Krishna. Okay. Baladev is going to get his first letters today. And we'll do it right here on this table, which is certified by Abhimanyu. Baladev, right-handed or left-handed? Right hand. So I'm going to move over here, and you sit here on this side. We'll work together. Here, this is your seat. Hi, I'm Vaish. Nice to meet you. Shall we? It's a real easy thing. We're just going to draw some first letters. A little kirtan, please.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dear Srila Prabhupada, Dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsingadev. If you so desire, please bless Abhimanyu and Baladev that they'll always have association of pure devotees. They'll be engaged in service in the Sankirtan movement. They'll have compassion for all living beings. They'll be healthy and highly educated in the science of Krishna consciousness. A pleasure to their parents. They'll have access to go to Jagannath Puri, Sridham Mayapur, and Sri Vrindavan Dham on a regular basis. They'll have many friends. An Achman cup. And plenty of notebooks to write about Krishna. Om Tat Sat. Thank you for considering our request. Everyone who agrees with these prayers in whole or in part, please say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I hereby declare these ceremonies to be a success in the service of Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan. Gaur Premanande Haribol. Vanchakalptarishta Kripasindabhi Evacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Nantakoti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Sharira Vijajal Jodendra Tahikal Jivepele Vishasha Gure Dharmaje Jivaiti Lobamoy Sudurmati Takejeta Katina Shangshare Krishna Bada Doyamoy. Now he's got him. Kodi Badi Jiva Joy. Shahprasad and Adilobai. Shane Amrita Pao. Radha Krishna Gunagao. Premidako Chaitanya Nitai. Akajina Shanti Pure Prabhu Advaitara Gare Dvi Prabhu Bojani Boshila Shakori Ashwadana Rubole Bhakta Gana Eshak Krishna Ashwadhila Heno Shak Ashwadane Krishna Prema Aishe Mane Se Preme Toro Ashwadan Jada Budi Parihari Prasada Bojana Kori Hare Hare Bolo Sarva Jahan Hare Hare Bolo Sarva Jahan Ma Prasade Govinde Dhamma Brahmadi Vaishnave Sapa Punyavatam Brajan Vishwaso Naivajai Prasade Sarva Dukana Niraso Vajayate Prasana Chetaso Yashu Buddhiparya Vatishtate Tayopa Bhukta Swaganda Vasulankara Charchitaha Utishta Bojino Dasa Vamayam Jayemahi Shuksham Prayushitam Bapi Nityam Vadurate Shata Prapti Matrena Bhoktavyan Natrakala Vicharanana Desha Niyamasta Trana Kalo Niyamasta Pratamanam Chamkishta Bhoktaram Hir Abravi Bhagavad Shri Mahaprasada Ki Gora Premanande Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Please come take prasada. And just as a side note, Abhimanyu came and claimed everything on the trays just after we finished. So add that into his repertoire. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalptarishta Kripasindabhi Vacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha